The war had lasted too long. Across the Orion Reach, stars burned where cities once lived. Broken ships drifted like dead giants, their hulls torn open by weapons no one could stop anymore. The Galactic Alliance was losing. Everyone knew it. They just did not want to say it out loud. Inside the High Council chamber of Virex Prime, the air felt heavy. Tall alien leaders sat in a wide circle, their faces tired, their voices low. Every screen showed the same truth: another system had fallen. Another fleet had been erased. Admiral Kaldar stood at the center. He was old, older than most still alive in this war. His armor was scratched and dull, not polished like the others. He had seen too much. "The enemy will reach our core worlds within 3 cycles, one counselor said. "Our fleets are shattered. Our weapons fail against theirs." Silence followed. No one argued. There was nothing left to argue about. Then Kaldar spoke. "There is one option left." Several heads turned toward him. "One option?" a counselor asked. "We have used them all." Kaldar's eyes moved slowly across the room. "Not all." He took a breath. "We could call the humans." For a moment, no one reacted. Then laughter spread across the chamber. Some laughed openly. Others shook their heads. A few looked away in embarrassment. "Humans?" one leader scoffed. "That old myth?" "Stories for hatchlings," another said. "Ghost soldiers. Fairy tales." Kaldar did not smile. "They are real." The laughter faded, replaced by uneasy looks. "There are no records," the chief archivist said quickly. "No confirmed data. No homeworld location. No active signals. Humans vanished from history thousands of cycles ago, if they ever existed at all." "That is because they wanted to vanish," Kaldar replied. A counselor leaned forward. "Admiral, with respect, we are discussing real war, not legends. We need fleets, not stories." Kaldar tapped the control pad on his arm. A single symbol appeared in the air, an ancient warning mark, rarely used. "I served during the first expansion," he said. "Back when borders were not respected. When empires burned for pride." The room grew quiet. "There was a system," he continued. "A small blue star. No trade value. No rare matter. But it was guarded. Not by fleets. By warnings." He paused. They were human warnings. Several counselors shifted uncomfortably. "The invaders ignored them," Kaldar said. "Their fleets crossed the line. And then, they disappeared." "Destroyed?" someone asked. "No," Kaldar said softly. "Erased. No wreckage. No signals. No survivors." The chief scientist shook her head. "Impossible. Even total destruction leaves something behind." Kaldar met her gaze. "That is why no one talks about humans." A long silence followed. Finally, the high speaker rose. "Even if humans were real," he said, "why would they answer us now?" Kaldar looked tired. "Because we are about to lose everything. And humans only answer when the galaxy is truly desperate." The council exchanged uncertain looks. Pride battled fear. Before anyone could speak again, an alarm cut through the chamber. "Sharp. Urgent. All stations, report," the high speaker demanded. A technician's voice echoed through the room. "We've received a signal. Deep space origin. Unknown encryption. Enemy," someone shouted. "No," the technician said slowly. "It's old. Very old." The signal expanded onto the main display. Symbols appeared, clean, simple, and unlike any known alien language. The chamber fell completely silent. The signal translated itself. This channel is human military command. Several counselors froze. One dropped to their seat. The message continued. We detected your distress call. Confirm alliance status. No threats. No pride. Just calm certainty. Kaeldar closed his eyes. They heard us, he whispered. Sensors across the system began to scream. Massive energy signatures appeared beyond the edge of known space. Not one. Not two. Hundreds. No warp trails. No known drive marks. Just presence. The technician's voice trembled. Objects entering real space. Size, impossible to measure. The council chamber lights dimmed as power surged through planetary defenses. Outside, the stars seemed to bend. The myth everyone laughed at was no longer a story. Humanity was coming. And the war was about to change forever. The stars did not behave normally anymore. Across the Virex Prime system, space itself seemed tense, like it was holding its breath. Long-range sensors screamed with warnings that made no sense. Readings contradicted each other. Mass without momentum. Energy without heat. Technology that did not fit any known model. Inside the High Council chamber, no one laughed now. They watched in silence as the signal repeated itself on every screen. This channel is human military command. The words were simple. Clean. Final. Chief Scientist Lyraven moved closer to the display. Her tendrils trembled slightly as she examined the data stream. The encryption is elegant, she said. Not complex. Not layered. It is designed so it cannot be broken, only understood. Admiral Kaeldar nodded slowly. That is how humans speak. Clearly. Directly. The High Speaker swallowed. Can we respond? We already are, the technician said. The signal auto-linked to our emergency channel. They opened the door. A new line appeared on the screen. State your threat level. The council hesitated. This was no diplomatic greeting. This was a battlefield question. Kaeldar stepped forward. Tell them the truth. The High Speaker gave a slow nod. Transmit full data. Enemy strength. Fleet losses. Civilian casualties. The room went quiet as the data flowed into the void. Entire histories of failure sent to beings many still believed were a myth. Seconds passed. Then the human signal returned. Threat confirmed. Hold your position. That was all. No promises. No speeches. Just an order. Suddenly, the sensors changed again. Multiple spatial distortions detected, a technician shouted. Not warp. Not jump. It's something else. Outside the council chamber, citizens of Virex Prime looked up at their skies. The stars bent inward, like reflections on broken glass. Light stretched. Darkness folded. Then something enormous began to appear. It did not arrive fast. It arrived heavy. A shadow formed against the stars. Then another. And another. Alliance observers gasped as shapes emerged fully into real space. Human warships. They were nothing like alien designs. No bright colors. No decorative wings. No glowing symbols. Just raw, brutal shapes built with purpose. The first ship alone was larger than an entire Alliance battle group. Its hull was dark, scarred, layered with thick armor plates. No visible weapons. No open ports. Just silence. Then more ships appeared. Dozens. Hundreds. They formed perfect lines without commands, without delay. A formation so precise it felt unnatural. Enemy sensors noticed them too. Across the battlefield, the invading fleet reacted with confusion. Target locks failed. Weapon systems could not get a stable read. Enemy fleet charging weapons, a scout cried. Kaeldar watched calmly. Humans planned for this long ago. A human transmission cut through every channel, even enemy ones. Unknown hostile force. You are operating in protected space. Withdraw immediately. The enemy answered with fire. Energy beams tore across space, striking the human ships. Nothing happened. No explosions. No shields flaring. The attack simply vanished. The enemy fired again. Stronger. Desperate. Still nothing. A human voice spoke again, unchanged. Final warning. Then the human fleet moved. Not forward. Sideways. In an instant, human ships shifted position, appearing behind the enemy formation without crossing the space between. The move broke every known law of physics. Alliance officers stared in shock. How did they? They didn't travel, Lyraven whispered. They replaced their position. The human flagship finally powered a weapon. The energy reading was low. Almost harmless. Kaeldar smiled grimly. That is not a weapon, he said. That is a message. A single pulse fired. One enemy cruiser vanished. Not exploded. Gone. Space closed where it once existed. Panic spread through the enemy fleet. They tried to retreat. Human ships blocked every exit. The council chamber was silent as the impossible unfolded before them. The myth was not only real. It was restrained. And humanity had just decided to stop holding back. The enemy fleet broke first. Not because they were destroyed, but because they finally understood. Across the battlefield, alien commanders shouted orders that came too late. Their ships tried to turn, to scatter, to escape. Formation collapsed into chaos. Pride turned into panic. Human warships did not chase. They waited. From the Alliance command deck, Admiral Kaeldar watched the enemy fleet tear itself apart. Humans do not fight wars the way we do, he said quietly. They remove the enemy's future. A new human transmission rolled across all channels. Hostile retreat detected. Escape denied. The human ships moved again. This time, they advanced. Not in a rush. Not with speed. They moved like something inevitable. Human vessels slid through space without visible engines. No flares. No sound. Just silent motion, as if the universe itself allowed them to pass without resistance. Enemy weapons fired wildly. Beams, missiles, gravity shells, every known weapon the galaxy had built in desperation. Human ships absorbed it all. Some attacks curved away before impact. Others struck and simply vanished. It was as if reality refused to hurt them. Chief Scientist Lyraven's voice shook. Their defenses are not shields. They are rules. Kaeldar nodded. Humans learned how the universe works. Then they told it no. A human destroyer peeled away from the formation. Smaller than the others, but still massive. It moved close to an enemy carrier, close enough that Alliance sensors screamed warnings. The carrier fired everything it had. The human ship did not react. Then it fired one shot. The carrier folded inward. Its hull bent like soft metal. Space around it collapsed, crushing the ship into nothing before snapping back into place. No debris. No survivors. Fear spread like a disease. Enemy ships attempted a blind jump. Coordinates failed. Space rejected them. Another human message followed, colder than the last. This engagement will now conclude. Human warships spread out, surrounding the enemy completely. No openings. No gaps. Then the real weapons came online. Not beams. Not missiles. Information. Enemy targeting systems filled with false data. Navigation maps rewrote themselves. Command signals echoed endlessly, trapping orders in loops. Entire enemy crews lost control without a single shot fired. Some ships powered down, surrendering silently. Others tried to ram human vessels. They never reached them. Human ships erased those too. On Virex Prime, citizens watched the battle on public displays. They had expected a heroic struggle. Instead, they saw an execution. Alliance officers stood frozen. "This isn't war," one whispered. Kaeldar answered, "It is prevention." At the center of the human formation, the flagship finally spoke again. The voice was calm. Almost kind. "All Allied forces are safe. Humanity has control of the battlefield." For the first time since the war began, no alarms sounded. Silence returned to space. Where thousands of enemy ships once existed, only empty stars remained. The enemy was gone. Not defeated. Removed. A final human transmission arrived, directed only to the Alliance Council. "Your survival probability has stabilized. Remain where you are." The High Speaker lowered himself into his seat. "They saved us," he said softly. Kaeldar did not celebrate. He watched the human ships, still perfectly still, still watching everything. "They didn't save us," he replied. "They decided the galaxy was worth keeping." As the last echoes of battle faded, one truth settled across every world that watched. Humanity did not enter the war to fight. They entered to end it. The battlefield was silent. No weapons fired. No engines burned. Human warships remained in place, unmoving, like dark monuments carved into space. For the first time in many cycles, the galaxy was not screaming. Inside the Alliance Command Center, no one knew what to say. Chief Scientist Lyraven broke the silence. "If humans are this powerful," she said slowly, "why did they never come before?" The question hung heavy in the air. As if answering her, the human flagship opened a private channel to the Council. The image that appeared was not what anyone expected. There was no armored giant. No glowing eyes. No monster. Just a human. The figure was seated, wearing simple dark uniform. No rank symbols. No weapons visible. The human's face looked tired. Not old, but worn, as if carrying memories too heavy to forget. "This is Commander Hale," the human said. His voice was calm, controlled. "Human Expeditionary Defense." The High Speaker stood slowly. "We, thank you. You saved our worlds." Hale did not smile. "We stopped a threat." "That is the same thing," the High Speaker replied. Hale shook his head slightly. "No. Saving implies hope. Stopping implies limits." The Council exchanged uneasy glances. "You asked why we never came before," Hale continued. "The answer is simple. When humans enter a war, the war ends." Kaeldar felt a chill. "We were here once," Hale said. "Long ago. We helped. We defended. We rebuilt." Images appeared behind him, ancient battlefields, broken alien cities, human ships hovering in peace. And every time, Hale continued, the galaxy learned the wrong lesson. The images changed. New wars. Bigger fleets. Deadlier weapons. They learned to rely on us. The Council was silent. "So we left," Hale said. "We erased our names. We became a myth. Because a galaxy that depends on humans forgets how to protect itself." Lyraven whispered, "Then why return now?" Hale's eyes hardened. "Because this enemy doesn't stop," he said. "It doesn't conquer. It consumes. If we waited longer, there would be nothing left to learn from. The High Speaker bowed his head. What do you want in return? Hale looked almost sad. Nothing. Another pause. We will remove the threat, Hale said. Then we will leave again. Fear rippled through the chamber. You're abandoning us? One counselor asked. No, Hale replied. We're giving you a chance. Outside, human ships began to move. Not toward Alliance space, but outward. Toward the dark regions beyond known charts. The war isn't over, Hale said. It's just no longer your war. Kaldar stepped forward. Will we ever see humans again? Hale met his eyes. That depends, he said. On whether the galaxy remembers this lesson. The channel closed. Human warships accelerated as one, slipping into the dark like shadows returning to where they belonged. Across Alliance space, citizens cheered. Leaders celebrated. Relief spread like fire. But Kaldar did not feel relief. He felt warning. Because now the galaxy knew the truth. Humans were not myths. They were not saviors. They were the last answer. And next time, they might not come at all. The galaxy changed after the humans left. At first, no one noticed it. There were celebrations across Alliance worlds. Flags were raised. Songs were written. Statues were planned in honor of a war that had ended without one final battle. But the silence the humans left behind felt different. Admiral Kaldar stood alone in the observation hall of Virex Prime, staring into open space. The stars looked normal again. Too normal. As if nothing had happened. Yet everything had. Enemy territory was gone. Not conquered. Not occupied. Just erased from star charts. Entire regions were now marked with a single symbol. Restricted, Human Intervention Zone. The Alliance rebuilt its fleets, but carefully this time. No oversized weapons. No reckless expansion. Borders were respected again, not because of treaties, but because of fear. Young officers asked questions. Why don't we chase the remaining enemies? Why don't we expand while we are strong? Why don't we ask the humans to stay? The elders always gave the same answer. Because humans already warned us once. In the council archives, the human transmission was preserved exactly as it was received. No edits. No translation changes. Just one final line, replayed again and again in military academies across the galaxy. When humans enter a war, the war ends. Kaldar watched new cadets listen to it with wide eyes. He saw fear. Respect. And something else. Understanding. Weeks later, a small Alliance patrol detected movement near the edge of forbidden space. Old instincts kicked in. Weapons charged. Fleets prepared. Then the sensors corrected themselves. It was not an invasion. It was a warning buoy. Human-made. No ship appeared. No message followed. Just a silent marker floating between the stars. And that was enough. The patrol turned back immediately. Across the galaxy, old myths were rewritten. Stories told to children changed. Humans were no longer ghosts or legends. They were limits. Civilizations that once mocked the idea of restraint now taught it as survival. Empires slowed their growth. Warlords vanished. Not because humans hunted them, but because everyone knew what would happen if they forced humanity to return. Kaldar recorded his final log before retirement. We believed humans were a myth because it made us feel safe, he said. The truth is worse, and better. Humans are real. And they only appear when the galaxy forgets how to be. Far beyond known space, human warships drifted in the dark. Silent. Watching. Waiting. They did not rule. They did not conquer. They did not protect forever. They simply made sure the galaxy remembered one thing. Some myths are created not to inspire hope, but to keep monsters afraid. And as long as humanity remained a myth, the galaxy would survive.